and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
With your Tuesday, May 30th, 2023 May Newscast, my name is Joshua Van Slykeman. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. Let's get to the news in details. The government of Guyana, through Attorney General Anil Nandalal, has applied to join the appeal that the Environmental Protection Agency made against a High Court ruling that provides for ESSO to give Guyana Unlimited Parent Company guarantee for its oil drilling activities in the Stabroek Block. The case was scheduled to be heard before Justice Rishi Prasad on Monday, but the matter had to be deferred as Mr. Sanjeev Dattadin, the lead attorney for the EPA, did not show up for the virtual hearing. The court learned that Mr. Dattadin was on his way back to Guyana following an overseas trip. As such, the case is scheduled to continue on Wednesday at 11 a.m. In other news, many of the individuals who occupy public office and oversee the plundering of their country's resources by foreign agents, while citizens in abject poverty cannot be in all good conscience referred to as leaders. They are nothing but mere misleaders. This perspective was recently offered by renowned Kenyan lawyer and legendary anti-corruption fighter Patrick Loch Otina Lumumba on the extent to which leaders of various nations should be blamed for high levels of poverty. He further preferred that, from his observation, many persons who hold office are not easily manipulated, but can even be considered fifth columnists, which is the term used to describe people who are sympathetic to or are working for the country's enemies. Expounding further, the professor noted that there are many countries that are rich with resources, and even on paper, their economic wealth and prospects are indeed glowing. He said this is the case with the Democratic Republic of Congo. He said it is one of the richest countries on earth, but there are high poverty levels because their so-called leaders signed away their birthright. A 15-year-old girl was on Monday remanded to the Juvenile Holding Center until July 4th, 2023 for the murder of 19 children who died in the fire at the Madhya Secondary School. Just before we came to the main newscast, it was confirmed that another female student would have died at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. The fire happened last week Sunday at the Madhya Secondary School female dormitory. The fire claimed the lives of now 19 girls and a 5-year-old boy. The teen suspect appeared via Zoom before Senior Magistrate Sunil Scares at the Madhya Magistrates Court. Notably, the laws of Guyana protect the identity of juveniles criminally charged. Section 100 of the Juvenile Justice Act stipulates that a person shall not publish a name or any information related to a juvenile if it would identify the child or juvenile as having been dealt with under the act, that is. And just before we head to a short break, Ray Daggers early Monday morning commenced his 12-hour per day fast for Guyanese to get a fair deal from its natural resources, but it was not without confrontation from police. Daggers wanted to sit on a chair on the grass carpet in front of the president's office at Blasintian Road. However, police told him that he could not sit there, and if he wanted to continue his fast, he must do so across the road opposite the office. He explained to police that he had gotten permission from an officer in charge of the Presidential Guard stationed at the President's office. The police officer was polite to ask the Presidential Guard ranks to confirm with their superior if Daggers could continue his fast there. Daggers later said he encountered about 9 confrontations with the police before he was finally removed after midday. He does not want any trouble with the police and said he's unsure of where he will conduct day 2 of his fast. This is your main newscast on Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5 FM. We will return with more news after the break. Stay with us.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Orlando Charles, a 45-year-old pilot and businessman of Middle Street, Georgetown, is to be charged by ranks of the Guyana Police Force's Trafficking in Person Unit with 16 counts of trafficking in persons. The Guyana Police Force said Charles, between the 1st of November 2022 and May 18th last 2023, trafficked 16 Venezuelan nationals between the Mazaruni River in Region 7 and Georgetown. The victims reported the matter to the Guyana Police Force, and members of the Trafficking in Person Unit of the Criminal Investigating Department immediately conducted an investigation. And following the devastating fire on May 21 at Madhya, which claimed the lives of now 20 children, President Irfan Ali has pledged to support the families affected in every way needed. Honoring his commitment, the president on Sunday hosted a dinner at his residence at State House for the families of those who perished and students who were in the dorm during the tragedy. During the engagement of the president, he spoke individually to those in attendance and listened to their concerns and asked them about ways that the government could enhance their lives. In a brief statement on his Facebook page, the president shared that among the support discussed were housing, small business ownership, and educational support in the communities where the children resided. The Ministry of Natural Resources on Monday announced that it has approved 13 additional local content annual plans for the reporting year 2023. These plans will ensure that the exploration and production activities undertaken by the companies will maximize local participation, promote economic diversification, and foster social development. Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat, in the company of the Director of the Local Content Secretariat, Dr. Martin Pratap, and the Ministry's legal officer, Mr. Michael Munro, signed the company's letters of approval at the Ministry's Kingston office on May 24th. And Leela Bacchus, a 42-year-old cleaner of Timmers Dam, Angois Avenue, New Amsterdam, was on Monday remanded to prison for the murder of her reputed husband. Bacchus appeared at the New Amsterdam Magistrates Court to answer the murder charge, which alleged that she killed Andy Jr., called Bull. She was not required to plead to the indictable offense and was remanded to prison until July 14, 2023 by Magistrate Renita Singh. Bacchus allegedly laced Jr.'s energy drink with poison, causing him to be hospitalized. He died 4 days later. In other news, the Environmental Protection Agency has instructed ESSO, the operator for the Stabroek block, to train residents in specific regions of the country to respond to an oil spill disaster. This is a requirement outlined in the permit granted to ESSO or ExxonMobil Guyana for the company's third sanctioned project, Payara. The Payara project is expected to start before the end of this year and produce up to 220,000 barrels of oil per day. The floating production, storage and offloading vessel, FPSO, Prosperity, which was constructed to store a total of 2 million barrels of oil, has already arrived in Guyana. The vessel's arrival was announced by Exxon in April. Stay with us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Your page 7 of the Kaieteur News, dedicated to being blunt, comes up after the break. Today's blunt is titled Opposition and Oil Policy. Opposition still formulating its oil policy. What policy? What kind of joke is this? Almost 3 years ago, Joe Harman was gathering a team. Now, the opposition of today is gathering steam going downhill. Downhill, nowhere on oil. The Guyana oil world is rushing by. Meanwhile, Guyana's opposition is gazing at the moon. And with that, we've come to the end of your main newscast on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. For these stories and much more, pick up a copy of the Kaieteur News at a newsstand near you. Continue to listen to us here on Kaieteur Radio, the radio with a difference. My name is Joshua Van Slyckman. Have a great remainder to your Tuesday afternoon.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
It's Tuesday, May 30th. I'm GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Welcome to the National Outlook. We're going to talk about oil some more for the next several days. We have to, because oil is such a vital part of our present and our possible future prosperity. If it is handled right, if it is managed right by our political people, we stand to be kings and queens of the world. Yes, we have that much oil, and we have that small number of people in this country that all can partake, all can have a fair share. But here's where fair share is today. From last Thursday's Kaieteur News, at the bottom of the front page, there was this story, there was this caption: International financial analysts. Exxon worth US $429 billion, but only offering Guyana US $2 billion parent guarantee for oil spills. $429 billion. That's almost $500 billion. That's a huge corporate capitalization, to use a fancy phrase. It's how much the company is valued by the sum of its shares, of all the people who own a piece of it. That's how much it is valued by the market. And that's an authoritative measurement. Almost $500 billion US dollars. And only $2 billion US dollars, a maximum of $2 billion US dollars, is what Exxon could bring itself to offer to Guyana, to Guyanese, that's you and I, in the event of an oil spill of great magnitude. Everybody says that an oil spill, it's a rare event. It's the rarest of rare events. Yes, it is, until it happens. Like a plane crash, we all fly all over. I have. And we go to places and we don't think a second time. But there is this consideration. When that one crash happens and 100 or 200 people perish, then we come to appreciate not only life, but what it is to have the coverage that keeps our families going if we happen to be among those that are gone. It's the same context, my fellow Guyanese, that I bring before you and put before you in terms of the event of an oil spill. We have, no matter how rare it is, we have to have the proper protection, financial coverage that can only come from a parent guarantee. We don't have it. And what we're getting is far, far from enough. US $2 billion doesn't do anything for us if a real catastrophic oil spill were to occur out there in the offshore oil fields. That's my concern. That should be the concern of every Guyanese. It should be a primary concern of President Ali, Vice President Jagdeo, Opposition Leader Norton. We are not hearing that. I am not getting the sense, sisters and brothers, that this is the biggest priority for these guys. It seems to me it's just business as usual. And we'll take whatever Exxon stuffs down our craw and we'll be contented with that. We should never be contented as citizens with US $2 billion for the maximum for coverage. It's not enough. It will not, if something happens, and that's for Guyana only. If something really happens, all the oil out there wouldn't matter. And we'd be driven into bankruptcy possibly. And we would have all those people in the Caribbean, if they're impacted negatively, coming after us through the courts. Where will we be then? Where would Exxon be then? Where would all these leaders and their battalions of supporters be then? The poor man, every Guyanese man and woman, would be left in a hole. I'm GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. You are listening to the National Outlook.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.